This is William Albrecht here, and this is an examination of one of my previous debates and being against Peter Dimond of the Most Holy Family Monastery and SEDEVACANTISM. It was an informal debate, but as many may know, I will be debating Peter Dimond in the near future on the Novus Ordo. That will be a formal debate, and it will be much shorter. But I've been sick lately, haven't been able to do many videos, as many people can tell. God willing, I'll be able to get my strength back, and I'll be back to doing what I love doing. But anyhow, here is a much-needed examination of the debate. On the right side, I have been so tired and sick lately, I have not been able to post up the debate links on my own server. So I'm going to link to Peter Dimond's. He gave me permission, and you can download the debate there. And I'm going to cover a number of things from this debate. And first off, a lot of people did not like the debate because they said that we both didn't get anywhere. You know, some from the Catholic camp said, you know what, I wish you would have engaged in stuff that he said, and some from their camp said, you know what, I wish you would have engaged in some of the stuff he brought up. But nevertheless, the whole point of me not answering all of the encyclicals he brought up and all of the quotes was, it has a point. And as such, my point was to establish that the Dimond brothers really don't know a single thing about biblical exegesis. In fact, if you hear the debate, you're going to hear a load of the private interpretation. And being as nice as possible, as nice as I can be, their knowledge of the biblical text is pathetic. The fact that they didn't know what a heretic was or how to identify a heretic was enough proof for me to not even need to touch upon their encyclical readings and their interpretations. The fact that they don't know what a heretic means in the biblical usage of the term, and the fact that they need to read into their own interpretation, it did it for me. I spoke to a couple of Catholic friends of mine. I spoke to Gary Machuda and Steve Ray before this debate, and a few other friends of mine. I told them, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick to the Bible. I'm going to prove that these guys are incompetent when it comes to the biblical terms. And as such, if I can set the ground forth to the fact that they don't know what a heretic means, their whole position falls like it tumbles like a whole deck of cards tumbles, and whole house of cards, that is. Excuse me. And as such, they had no idea what a heretic meant. And in this short examination, you listen to our debate, you'll see the fact that they don't know a thing about Lutherans. You know, they don't know what you don't know Lutheran theology, and they had no idea of the doctrine of invincible ignorance, and they thought the Catholic Church was the whore of Babylon. But let's touch upon the meaning of the term heretic first. And as such, they label a lot of the popes heretics, and on this screen you're going to be able to see the biblical Greek term, and we'll examine it a little bit here. Maybe the Dimond brothers can check this out, and they'll get a little bit of a biblical lesson here, since they really, I don't think they've ever taken any biblical classes before. But anyhow, Titus 3:10 reads, after first and second admonition, break off contact with a heretic. This follows with 3:11, which says, realizing that such a person is perverted and sinful and stands self-condemned. So we see what a heretic is, and a heretic is somebody that refuses to recognize their faults, even after being confronted with them, and then they stand self-condemned after being admonished. And as such, there isn't any proof that any of the popes labeled as manifest heretics have continued in being obstinate, even after being admonished. This is the only place in the New Testament where we have the Greek word hieretikon for heretic. And according to the biblical usage of this term, which you can see flashing on your screen in a bit, for heretic, we find that the context shows us that this is in reference to an individual that is confronted, and then if they do continue in their heresy, then they're condemned. In other words, a person is a heretic for the very reason that he stands self-condemned, even after being admonished. And in fact, we had the biblical, the construction heretikon anthropon, which means heretical man. Anthropon is used here in the accusative masculine form in the Greek. So in other words, let me explain it to you, because Peter Dimond didn't understand. The form of the sentence will lead us to realize that the individual is in heresy for the very reason that he denies the truth, even after being admonished numerous times. That is a literal reading of the text. It's not my interpretation. That is a literal reading of this text. That is a literal reading of the fact that anthropon is used for man in the accusative masculine form, heretical man. So that is a literal reading. That is not me reading anything into this. Plain and simple. Moving on to the next thing they didn't understand, and I brought up one of their shows, and it just goes to show you their incompetence completely. They think that we don't need to ever have another pope. And I was speaking to my good friend Gary Machuda on the phone about 2-3 days back, and I was telling him how astonished I was at the fact that these guys have no knowledge, not even a single bit of grasp of the biblical languages. And as such, one of the comments that one of them made in one of their shows was that there isn't a teaching requiring that there be another pope. There's no teaching that there needs to be another bishop. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? In Acts 1:20, we're told that the office of the bishop must be filled. The Greek term episkope used here. And they're in contention with the biblical usage of the term episcope, and it's ridiculous because this shows us the very fact that the vacancy of a bishop must be fulfilled. This has nothing to do with there being gaps in time of it being fulfilled. The office has to be fulfilled. And Peter Dimond didn't think that the office needed to ever be fulfilled. He doesn't understand what the term episcope meant. He went wild. He's like, oh, he's referring to Judas. Well, Peter Dimond, no, it's not referring to Judas. It's talking about the office, the episcope. And the fact that he simply didn't get that, as Gary, my buddy, pointed out, it's sad. It really is sad. And when we debate the Novus Ordo, I don't expect any more engaging in the biblical terms, because he just simply can't do it. To assert that the see is vacant without any logical way to elect a new pope betrays a biblical understanding of the Greek term episcope. Simple as that. There's no way around it. It's simple as that. Moving on, we're going to move on, and we will see in Acts 17:22. We read, then Paul stood up at the Areopagus and said, you Athenians, I see that in every respect you're very religious. I asked him, why is he praising them for being religious and then admonishing them to turn to Christ? And instead, we get Peter Dimond reading an English translation to us, telling, oh, they're superstitious. Well, the Greek term is daimon here, and it means they're religious in every respect. As you can see this Greek word appearing on your screen, daimon. Paul later proceeds to say that the pagans are offspring of God. Gnos, he says. So as we see, the pagans were not worshiping God in the Orthodox sense, but nevertheless, Paul recognizes their religiosity and praises it. And then tells them they got to turn to Christ, because it's time for their ignorance to be eradicated. Simple as that. It's time. You know what? Great that you're doing this, guys. You know what? This God here that you're worshiping here, it's really the one true God, okay? But you know what? You got to turn now to worship in the Orthodox manner, because I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to show you how to do it. And that's pretty much a plain meaning of it. We move on to their a brief interpretation of Revelation 18. They interpret it as being the Catholic Church. Come out of the whore, they say, is tantamount to saying, come out of the false church. Well, there isn't an instance in Revelation 18 where the biblical term ecclesia is used for church. And as such, if you want to refer to it being church, you're going to referring to a church, you're going to have to show me the term ecclesia. There's not even a hint of it referencing a religion, much less a church. And as such, Revelation 18 nowhere mentions a false church or a false religion. There's no logical connect there. And the fact that the whore of Babylon persecuted apostles and prophets eliminates the Catholic Church. It is silly. It really is silly. Apostles and prophets are mentioned, and of course, apostles and prophets existing in the Old Testament times in the first Christian century, and for him to assert that this is a Catholic Church is ridiculous. We move on to Revelation 6, 9-10, in this brief covering, and the Dimond brothers interpret it as referencing in the Novus Ordo Mass. Ridiculous. There is nowhere where the Novus Ordo Mass is referred to as a logon, as the Word of God. Therefore, it goes further to show the incompetence of the Dimond brothers. But as such, we will see how they can defend these comments in a debate on the Novus Ordo. This debate will not be informal. There will not be a bunch of stuff being thrown out. It's going to be on one topic only. And in a brief cover through, I recommend anybody listen to this debate. They can listen to the fact that no matter how many encyclicals, how many church fathers, how many doctors you quote, if you don't know what a heretic really means, then you know what? Your position holds no water at all. And I hope this has helped people out that are interested in this topic. And God bless you.